What's up, everyone? Welcome to another week of What You're Missing. Last week was Gamescom. There were all kinds of announcements about what games are coming out, when, new games that are coming out, gameplay videos and extended gameplay demos and all kinds of things like that. That stuff is all over the internet, so I'm not gonna really jump on that bandwagon. So if you want to see that, it's all there. Pretty much any gaming site you go to will have it. So you're not going to get that today. That's all I'm saying. What you will get is a couple highlights that jumped out at me, and one in particular that slapped me in the face. So, yeah, some stuff that did come out. PlayStation 4 apparently has sold 10 million units in the 9 months that it's been out. That's pretty incredible. That's 10 million units sold through, so that's in people's houses that people have actually bought, not stores sitting on and looking at every day. So, good for them. It's good to see that Sony's doing really well, in part because I'm a Sony guy, at least in some small part. So nice work, PlayStation. Keep it up. Xbox, no mention of what their numbers are, but I think I saw something last week that said that PlayStation has outsold Xbox for the last 7 months, which is really something. So yeah, hopefully they pick up some of the slack and get back on the ball. Um, while we're going over sales numbers, the Goat Simulator, which we've talked about, has sold around 1 million units so far. So wrap your mind around that while we talk about other things. I know last week or the week before, we talked about the Xbox TV studios being shuttered or closed down. Now, it doesn't look like that they're going to be completely shuttered or closed down, at least immediately, and that there may be some talks with various people, Warner Brothers being one of them, about purchasing them and starting making all of that content that they were talking about in the first place. So the article I read said that an agreement between Warner Brothers and Microsoft is not likely, but that was the name that was thrown out. So maybe that will come in. Maybe somebody will come out and buy them, and that sort of content will be made. It'll be interesting to see where that goes if it does. I think personally that there should be more TV shows based on all of the various worlds and the lore that these video games are built on, because there's so much great material there to build on that it's just, a missed opportunity. I was just actually saying on Twitter, which if you're not following me, you should be, because I've got all kinds of wisdom that I'm dropping at all times, almost 24 hours a day. This is probably not true, but you should tune in anyway. No, I was just talking on Twitter a little bit about how I think that a real missed opportunity is the Warhammer 40K universe, and the fact that there are no live action movies. There should be a good movie series based around an epic space opera in Warhammer 40K. I mean, you've got Space Marines, which we know everybody loves. You've got the Chaos Marines. You've got other things. I'm not a huge follower of Warhammer 40K, but I really like the universe that it lives in, and it's such an old. I mean, it's got decades of backstory and history, and there are tabletop role-playing games that I think it originated from, and books from all of those. So somebody make a great story, do a very good job making a series of movies. I'll settle for a trilogy. It doesn't have to be 6 or 9 movies like Star Wars, but go someone make them. Give me those, like, well, those chest thumping deep voices of the Space Marines, and yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry, you're missing out. But hopefully someone will make a movie and I'll drag you to see it. So then you'll know. All right, I digress. I saw an article about how they're developing an open world skiing game called Snow. Stop and think about that for a second. An open world skiing game. And originally it was made for PC for use with Oculus Rift. Can you imagine that? Oculus Rift in a skiing? I hopefully you can speed up the transit between the bottom of the mountain and the top, and you can just pick a mountain and say, I want to ski down that, and then go and do that, instead of, you know, making 90% or 80% of the game you hiking up through the mountains to get to the top, and then 10 minutes to ski down. So hopefully they'll not do that. But an open world virtual reality skiing game It's coming to the PlayStation 4. There's no mention of whether it'll be using Morpheus or not, but if they're doing Oculus Rift stuff for the PC version, hopefully they'll work Morpheus into that, and I can't wait. I will probably play the PC version. I got to get myself an Oculus Rift if that ever happens, but maybe I'll get a fan and it'll like blow my hair back as I go, so I get the full effect. Even though I wear a helmet when I ski, maybe I'll get the helmet and I'll wear it inside and I'll have a fan blowing on me. I don't know. I'll have to think about it, but I think it's pretty awesome. You should too. If you don't ski, maybe this is your opportunity to break into it. All right, next up, last week I talked about the sneak peek that Sierra, the company behind all of the King's Quests, the Quest games basically, Quest for Glory, King's Quest, Space Quest, Police Quest, and then Leisure Suit Larry, and a number of other games. They're back on the scene and they're making games. And the final announcement this week or last week was the 2 games that they're coming out with in 2015 are the next King's Quest, which apparently is a story about King Graham and his granddaughter Gwendolyn. So I think that's really cool, and I am anxiously awaiting that. And another game called Geometry Wars. I never played Geometry Wars. Apparently this was a game that was also on Xbox 360. I don't know if Sierra made that then or it was some offshoot. I don't know. But those are the 2 games that they're working on and coming out with, and I'm really looking forward to it. Last up, speaking of Gamescom news, I have to talk about this because I grew up playing Tomb Raider games, and while maybe Lara Croft in the most recent game where she completely obliterated an island full of archaeology sites and historical artifacts, which makes her not a very good archaeologist, but it was the most recent game was a great game. Last week, during Microsoft's announcement, Microsoft's announcement and their conference, they said that the next Tomb Raider would be an Xbox exclusive. Now, everyone who's played the game on PlayStation, which would be a lot of the user base, and people who've played it on the PC, which is also probably a large user base, are all standing here like, what the fuck, Square? Do I not matter to you? So I read a couple articles on it, and it sounds like that, and people have come out, including I think Phil Spencer of Microsoft, saying no, it's not a complete exclusive. On last week's Beyond podcast, they talk a lot about what the game industry is using the word exclusive for, and it's very vague and sort of broad these days. And it's not just if something's exclusive, it's always exclusive. It's period. That's it. It's a much broader definition where maybe it's a timed exclusive, like maybe it'll come out for Xbox and then a week later it'll come out for PlayStation 4, and so Xbox gets all this, publicity and gets to say that it's exclusive for them, but really it's only exclusive for a week. So Phil Spencer and they came out and they said that no, it's not an absolute exclusive deal, that they didn't buy the IP, they don't own the studio, and that the Square or the publisher is able to determine what they want to do. But obviously Microsoft paid for or has worked out a deal that involves some exclusivity for the Xbox and Xbox, I think Xbox 360 and Xbox One. And there is no mention of PlayStation, there's no mention of PC. And so, the question is, how long are we going to have to wait, and why would they do that? So one of the reasons that was given is, oh, the last Tomb Raider didn't sell very well, that it didn't sell as many units as they were hoping. It strikes most people as counterintuitive that if your last game didn't sell well, that you would cut out 2/3 of the market for your next game, and it's gonna be much better. But like this article on Polygon argued, or what the author was saying, was that, and I think this is an astute point, is that unfortunately most studios and most companies they don't exist to make all of the game players happy and to get games to as many people as possible. they're there to make games and to make money from those games, right? So if Microsoft shows up and says, I'll pay you, I'm just going to pull a number out of the air, but I'll pay you $100 million to be exclusive on, Microsoft's ecosystem, and, exclude PC, exclude PS4, suddenly they don't even need to sell, even if they sell a third or a quarter or a half of the units that they sold previously. That's every unit sale is cumulative on top of the $100 million bump, right? And it's probably not just a cash payout. It's probably promotional activity on Xbox's dashboard. It's probably promotional activity in the stores and all over their areas. Marketing, PR. It may be even development assistance that Microsoft engineers may be helping, make the game work well on their products and help the overall development of it. So it could take place in any number of ways that would save Square or the studio or the publisher or whomever we're talking about money, and lots of it. And there's probably a cash payout as well. So as somebody who doesn't have an Xbox and has no plans to buy one ever, probably, I won't say ever because who knows what happens, but I definitely am not going to get an Xbox One. It means that I'm not going to be able to play any more Tomb Raider games if this is how it's going to go down, which is a very disappointing thing. So here's hoping that that it comes to these other platforms and not a year later, after nobody cares about the game anymore. Although, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a bummer. So, yeah. I hope they get their shit figured out and that they don't have to do this sort of thing in the future, because it's very disappointing, and it affects the enthusiasm that a lot of people have for the overall, sort of the entire series of games. I played this back in the 90s on my PC before there was a PlayStation, and people, were first introduced to Tomb Raider on PlayStation 1, I think it was, for a lot of people in the console era. And it's just sad that all of these people are going to be excluded from the whole thing as a result, and who knows how long. One of the numbers that this article used, which I disagree with, is they're like, oh, but there are so many people who have both consoles that it really isn't affecting sales or the number of, the user base that much. That if you figure that, 25% of people only have Xbox, 25% of people only have PlayStation, and 50% have both, you're really only losing like 25% of your user base. But the top side is all of this help and money from Microsoft, so it's a great deal, and not that many people are affected. I'm sorry, fuck you. I don't think 50%. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Let me just ratchet myself. I'll just reel myself back in for a second. I need to look up the stats before I can just say anything totally outlandish. But that was a broad generalization. Hopefully, the numbers are at least in the ballpark of that. I'm not sure that 50% of the market has both a PlayStation and an Xbox, but I could be wrong. So, anyway, that's all I've got this week. I probably will not have a lot of Let's Plays. Now, I've been uploading some of them to YouTube, and so you can see things there, and there's a playlist, and you go through all the stuff that I've posted there. But if you're really interested in seeing all of what I've streamed or what I am currently streaming, go over to Twitch, and you can see like an archive of what I've done in the last 2 weeks, because I'm not uploading everything. A lot of times I'll upload the stuff that I played with Alex, although I didn't upload our Saints Row gameplay last week yet, so I may have to do that. But there's a lot more stuff that's going on, and it's on Twitch, at least for a couple weeks until it gets taken down. So if you're in need of entertainment, go on over to Twitch, look up Vinsis, V-I-N-S-I-S, and find all of my videos there if you want to watch. There's a lot more there to enjoy. So that said, there's stuff going on Twitch, there's stuff on YouTube, there's stuff on the blog. Mondays and Tuesdays are usually game days. I haven't posted a schedule for my gameplay hours yet and my streaming, because last week was really, there was a lot going on. Robin Williams passed away, and that affected me, and all this stuff with Ferguson, and yeah, it's just a lot going on right now. So it may be a couple weeks before I get into a regular streaming schedule. I hope you'll bear with me. and I appreciate you tuning in and watching. Go ahead and hit subscribe, tell your friends about it, share the wealth, as it were, and I will see you tomorrow to talk about what games I played last week.